this manner, Mike. I'm not sure what you own, but this here is on the mark. Like a spiral from a 5-star recruit, we throwing darts, really focused. WD-40 couldn't stop the way we grind it. In the trenches, putting that work in, I relate to all my linemen. This is for the men, the boys do not belong here. Tiptoeing to the top, we doing cone drills. The hottest show in the world, you don't even gotta search. Steady putting in work, you see the sweat up on my shirt. They wasn't aware of us at first, we wasn't on their radar. Now every play that we make, they gon' say, oh, similar to a razor blade, we gon' stay sharp. The news ain't official if it's not on the mark.
What it do is Wednesday, you know, we up here on the On Your Mark Show live from Fishbowl Radio Network, powered and sponsored by Epic Sports Apparel. Every play I compete. We're here to elevate and educate and get you right, man. Got a special guest in the house. I call him Coach JP, but he's Jordan Pugh from PPT Elite. Man, a good friend, been known him for a couple years. Listen, you might want to listen up today. Of course, Coach J's in the building. Look, he off the road. I done plugged him back in now. You know what I'm saying? Coast to Coast Athletics, Epic Sports Apparel CEO, and we live right here on Wednesday every week. Coach JP, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing good, man. It's a nice little setup, boy.
No doubt, no doubt.
Boy, you got the little theme music
No
going
doubt.
on?
Hey, man, look,
I got to come up here
hey,
and more often,
elevate and educate every week,
hey,
baby.
Man,
it's going
I like
down.
it, baby.
Yes,
I like
sir.
it, man.
Yes,
I appreciate y'all having me on, man.
Absolutely.
Sir.
Appreciate you stopping through. Now, what I like to do with guests, especially coaches, is kind of give you a track record of where you started at before you got into coaching.
Okay.
You know, I know you have a playing career that you had before.
Yep.
Start there and how you got into coaching. Then we'll talk about PPT Elite.
Well, all right, to tell you a little bit about me. I am the son of Marshall and Joanne Pugh. You know, two loving parents, man, that were hard on me. But now that I got kids, I understand now.
No doubt.
I get it. Grew up in Plano, went to Plano West Senior High School, played ball there. Had scholarship offers coming out. Ended up going to Texas A&M. Played 4 years there, was a 3-year starter there. Did what I had to do. Came out in the draft in 2010, was a 6th-round draft pick by the Carolina Panthers, pick 202. You never forget that.
No doubt.
I have a crazy draft story about that, but that'll probably cut into our time, man. That'd take me at least 10 minutes to go into that story. But, yeah, man, played 5 years in the league, played 2 with the Carolina Panthers, 2 with the Redskins at the time, and finished up with the New Orleans Saints. And then, man, just got into the coaching aspect. Never saw myself coaching, never wanted to be a coach, never thought about being a coach. I despise the coaching aspect, and look at what I'm doing now, right? Coaching. And I love every single bit of it, man. So that's just a quick little rundown of my history, man, kind of how I got into it, but I know we'll touch more on that.
So, real quick, stepping off the field,
Yep.
stepping into coaching.
Yes.
Give me the biggest difference that you've seen in the transition from that, because that's a lot of things. Not every elite players can't coach, and vice versa. Some players, don't step into coaching right away. I think coaching is a gift. You know what I'm saying, and you have to have the right mindset when you go into it. Just speak on that a little bit.
Man, let me tell you something. Boy, you want to get deep?
Get deep.
All right, let's get deep. All right, so look, so when I got done playing, you have to understand how my last year was crazy. So in 2013. All right, I ended up going deaf in my left ear, okay? Completely deaf. I still suffer with vertigo today, balance issues, that kind of deal. I had no idea at the time that when you lost your hearing controls your balance.
Absolutely.
Learn something new, right?
Absolutely.
So, you're going into that, you're in your last year, you're in your contract year. Man, I was finally named the starting safety, right? Everything is rolling. Memorial Day weekend, 2013, that's when I lost the hearing, okay? I didn't get cleared to participate and get back to camp or get back to Washington until 2 weeks before camp. No running, no nothing, all right? So, you get done playing, you finish up, you end up getting picked up by New Orleans to finish out the career. And then, man, you just couldn't pass the physicals. You're going through all that. I mean, it was hard, right? Because you had this dream, you had this idea, this vision of what you wanted your career to finish. And I tell my kids all the time, the one thing that I hate the most is I don't hate the fact that I'm not playing. That doesn't bother me. What bothers me is the fact that I never got the chance to finish how I wanted to. That's what irks me every single time. All right, now, let's put a pin in that. So we start to transition out, right? And at the time, man, and I think what people got to understand, too, about former players, why it's hard to transition is you put your all into it. You have a finite window of time. You know that when you play, man, it could be 1 year, it could be 15 years. You have no idea how this thing goes. And when you're transitioning, there's nothing like the high of running out on that football field. And if you've never experienced it, you have no idea what that's like. You have no earthly idea what that's like, and there's no job that can replace that. Okay, so I'm going through, man. It's about 2016 at the time. I started doing radio with Texas Radio, having my own segment each week on there. I started doing Aggie Game Day, the pregame show for A&M, and I loved it. I enjoyed it, but it still wasn't the same feel. Okay, so 2016 comes around, and all the kids that I used to train with back home asked me to train them. I ain't want any parts of it. I'm like, nah, I'm good on that. And my wife was like, look, man, go out there, just go do it, train the kids up, just have some fun with it. Man, I started enjoying it. I started to see the progress. I'm like, you know what, this ain't half bad. That led to a training facility. I ended up having a building in Richardson. And then that, from the training outside to the building, all of a sudden it led to the 7-on-7. Kids were like, hey, man, why don't you start a 7-on-7 team? Why don't you do that? I wanted no parts of it. When I tell you no parts, I mean no parts of the 7-on-7. I'm like, no, I'm good, man. I don't want to do any of that because I told you I didn't want to be a coach.
Right.
I was like, I don't want to do it. Please don't make me do this. So kids kept asking me. I said, you know what? Fine. All right, I'll do it, right? So, man, it led to the 7-on-7. And then 5 years in, 6 years in, all of a sudden I've seen the kids come through the program. And I've watched guys that had supreme talent that are sitting at home. And I said, there is no way that you don't have a NAIA, a D3, something, a JUCO. How are you not playing somewhere? So in the spring of 2022, man, I finally decided that I was going to start my high school national team. So we call it Team PPT. And we play 2 games in the spring, 2 tackle football games in the spring. We play teams from all over the nation, and we do that in order to bridge the gap for the high school kids. We don't promise scholarship offers because if anybody promised you that, they're lying to you.
Absolutely.
Bold-faced lie.
Absolutely.
One thing I can do is I can put you in front of the right people.
Right.
Now, that's what I can do.
Absolutely.
We talk about that every week.
And I know we're going to get deeper on that.
Yeah.
But, man, it was 2 kids in particular that made me start this team. 2, okay? Charlie Johnson and Ishmael Mahdi, okay? Mahdi, he's the running back at Texas State right now, killing it, okay? They came through the program, and I never forget, man, I used to send Izzy stuff all over the place. I would send it to Kansas State, Oklahoma. Everybody that I had connections with, I said, there's a kid at Plano East. I'm telling you, you need to be on this guy.
Ball.
Izzy got hurt this senior year, I think 6 games in. I think 6 games in, he had around like maybe 1,200 yards rushing. 6 games into the season, man. I'm like, look, what are we missing here? He has the body type. He has the size. He's got the speed. Something ain't adding up, though, right? And at the time, that's when the transfer portal was – it wasn't as big as it is today, but that's when it opened up around that 2021 time. So he ended up going,
COVID.
Yep, the COVID year. Yep, exactly. And then so he ended up going to Houston Christian. Goes to Houston Christian. I mean, balls out. Is up there with Shador Sanders with the Jerry Rice Award. I mean, killing it. Ends up transferring to Texas State this past season. One of the top rushers in all of college football. Just going ham. Then a guy named Charlie Johnson went to Plano West. Okay. And every time I see Charlie, he walks up to me, he goes, Coach, I know you're mad at me, man. And I tell him all the time I'm mad at him because I said, you should be playing college football. Was a hell of a receiver. But I think he was a guy that he got beat down so much, he got moved around so much, he got told what he's not good at, that he lost confidence, he lost hope. And after I had them, especially Charlie, going into that last year, after I had them, I said, you know what, man, something's got to change, okay? COVID happened. I saw the West Coast guys running games in the spring, and I said, that's it. I knew this was going to be the possibility, but now I got to act on it. Spring of 2022, man, we started the team. Man, we went up to Seattle. We had air. We played FSP. We played air football. They came down there and played us, man, and eventually it led to 5 of our guys getting offered. And, man, it was the plan moving forward from there, man. So that was, kind of like the rundown of how everything got going, the timeline of how it went, man, and I'm enjoying every moment of it.
Now, what are some of the core values with PPT?
Yep.
I've known you for a while and just want to share this with the audience. I've seen you from the groundwork. I remember coming out to over there in Frisco across from the Star.
Yep.
That's when you were originally getting it really started. He said, hey, man, come check us out, man. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, you taking it back.
Absolutely.
You taking it all the way back.
Absolutely. I mean, I like to start with the genesis of it to
Yeah.
build to where we're going now. But
Let's
speak
do it.
on that a little bit.
Man, so PPT, man, stands for Pride, Preparation, and Technique, okay? Pride in everything that you do. We prepare to be elite at all things, and then you have the technique to excel on and off the field, okay? That's what PPT stands for. The biggest thing that I've seen, man, is, you might get me on my rant, but you have a lot of guru trainers. You have a lot of guru people that have it on their social media tags. But I see a whole lot of things that they do that don't translate to the field. the one thing that I always wanted to do, I wanted to make sure they were prepared mentally and they understood what they were getting into as they advanced to the next level. I wanted to make sure that they had the technique as well. Hands, feet, and hips, I always say it. It's 3 things. I could care less about you getting bigger, faster, stronger. That is just a requirement.
Right.
Don't come to me with the requirement.
Right.
I hate when parents, hey, man, I'm trying to get bigger, faster, stronger. That's the requirement. Mm-hmm. Your skill set is what you need in order to get to the next level. College coach, I watch the tape. Do your hands, feet, and your hips, your skill set, does that translate to what it is on the football field? Can I take what you do and can I put it on the field where our competition is, and can you be successful? Point blank, period. So, man, that's just kind of the pillars that we stand on, the pride, preparation, and technique. We want to make sure that you're equipped in all things. But most importantly, the one thing you're going to get out of me constantly, and you'll hear from every one of my kids, I am a hard ass. I'm not concerned about being your friend, nor do I want to be your friend. I am married. I have 2 beautiful daughters. I got friends of my own. My goal is to, when I turn on the TV, if I'm flipping through Twitter, Instagram, whatever, I see you playing at the next level. I did my job. That's my thank you, right? So that's kind of where we are, man, who we are, and that's what we stand on.
Coach, he mentioned something that I know you're really strong on, bigger, faster, stronger, but how you move. We talk about movement. You do that all of the time when it comes to being technique and discipline. We talk about these things all the time. Speak on that just a bit.
Let it go, Coach.
Let's
do it. I'm ready, man. I'm ready. Let's get it.
No doubt.
That's something that's overlooked by a lot of people. Everybody looking at the fancy stuff, but again, my question, just like Coach said, is does it translate?
Right.
And it drives me nuts where we see these workouts, and I'm like, okay, it may look good, but the next question is, does it translate? How do I apply this to my field of play? And if it doesn't translate, you really don't need it. Mm-hmm. So the key is, again, people aren't doing enough research and understanding. College coaches don't care about how much you can bench press. Nope. They don't care about how much you can squat.
Nope.
They care about your hips, your feet, your technique, and how, again, does it translate?
You're going to be in my strength program regardless.
You're going to be in it regardless.
It is what it is, yeah.
So we're going to make you bigger, faster, stronger. That doesn't matter if you can bench press 600 pounds right now. We can care less.
Right.
It's can you bend at the hips?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? How good are your hands? How explosive are you?
Yep.
Right. The things that we can't give you.
Right.
Do you have those?
Right. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? What are your God-givens?
Well, it's your hands, your feet, and your hips, those 3 things. A lot of people, so I tell a lot of parents, man, I look for those 3 things because you get a lot of kids that come in there that have good feet, but they can't bend. They can't get in and out. You got kids that have good hands, but all of a sudden they're slow in and out of the breaks. I tell them all the time, we want all 3 things to be aligned and move at the same time. That is the skill set that I'm talking about. So, man, I know exactly what you're saying.
But that's the difference between Power 5 and all the way down.
Well, it's levels to everything that you do.
Yep.
But your preparation is the key. You know what I mean? You see, you can see a 6'5", 230 guy, depending on what position he's in. But like you said, he doesn't have great hips. It can running fast in a straight line in football does not equal to success.
At all.
Go ahead, Coach. I see you.
All right, so here's a debate I just had a couple days ago. LeBron James.
Yeah.
And then people asked me, can he play football? I said, no, he can't. I said, first of all, does he have God-given ability? Yes. Yes, he does. He does. But when you look at the mental makeup, he's not mentally there for football, man.
Which is why he's playing basketball.
Yep.
He played football.
He played football.
Yeah,
he played football in high
and
school.
he even has an interview where he says, hey, man, he said it's too much hit going on. It's a different level.
Right.
But also, like you said, LeBron is a straight line guy.
Right.
When you talk about football, I don't think everybody wants to give the basketball players the credit for being the best athletes. Y'all got to understand, man, football players, the nuances of the game, being able to drop your hips, speed to power, leverage points. Man, it's a whole lot that goes into this that people –
and it's changing constantly.
Right, that people don't even talk about.
And it changes per position.
Yes.
Right.
Yep. And like I say this all the time, I said the hardest position to play in the football field is a DB.
Okay.
We all in agreement.
Every day.
We in agreement. I was just waiting for you to say it.
Don't bring the QBs to me.
Yeah.
I can't stand that argument. And let me shut this argument down real quick. All right, quarterbacks. They say quarterback is the hardest position to play. Well, why is that? Because last time I checked, everything on the offensive side is scripted. What I mean by that, it's a play.
Right.
You're supposed to be a 5, break out. You're supposed to be a 10, break in.
Right.
It's synchronized, and there's a point, there's a place point for every single person. Now, when it comes to the cerebral side, now there's a different element to that. But also at the same time, you're expecting somebody to be in a spot at a certain place at a certain time. Okay, so there's expectation. The defensive side of the ball. A lot of people want to say see ball, get ball. Well, that's true.
Right.
If you break it down in its simplest form.
Sure.
But also, I'm going against elite athletes that have elite speed, elite size, elite power, that know exactly where they're going and where they're moving, and we have to react based off that. Now, if we get down to the DV side, I'm moving backwards, you're moving forward. You know where you're going.
Right.
Somebody needs to tell me, explain to me how this is a harder position to play. I just need to know that. You're expecting that receiver to be at 5, be at 10, be at 15, run that slant at step number 2. It's synchronized, kind of like WWE wrestling. Right. Man. That's just my argument. That's my 2 cents. Well, I know people gonna have a problem with that. Well, hey,
I think if you find a DB that can't dance, then he don't need to be playing DB.
I just said that the other day to one of my kids, man. I said, man,
it's the truth.
I said, can you dance?
Right.
I said, can you wiggle it up?
Right.
Any type of rhythm?
Absolutely.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
Those hips are.
I knew I came to the right spot when we talking now. Yeah.
Those hips are always going to tell the tale.
Yep.
Hey, we got a question. Kevin Burrell.
Okay.
How do you develop skills in your kids at the youth level? Functional movement. Functional movement.
Simple things, man.
Functional movement.
It's real simple. All you need is 4 cones and a ladder.
Right.
You don't need no more than that.
Well, also you have to know what the skill set of the child is at that particular point as well. You know, don't give him something that he can't do, because children at a certain age, they get defeated very easily. So you want him to have the confidence in what they're doing, and also being able to demonstrate those things. And it does help to know the right people to put him in front of so that you can get that as well.
What, just FYI, what I did with all my kids that I trained, especially my own, we worked on a deficiency of, we're going to find one weakness and build that to a strength for a whole year. Yep. That way we're only working on one thing. We're building around one. Right. We take what's God gave you. I identify one weakness, and we said we're going to turn that into a strength. Then the next year we identify another weakness, so that way you're not overwhelmed with trying to fix too many things at once.
Pushing them too
much.
You
still got to be a kid.
It on the head. That's exactly. Yeah. Every kid has a natural gift.
Absolutely.
Whether they,
so we
just
take
use
that.
Football is all right. Some got good hands, some got good feet, some got speed, whatever. All right, you're good at that. Cool. Let's work on the next phase now. Man, that's exactly what I would have said. So hey, you hit it right on the head.
Well, I think you have to know your athlete as well. You know, and it takes a certain eye to know that.
Yep.
You know, and then if you don't, like I went back to at the beginning, it's kind of, you know, get the right people around them, even at a young age. But you start small to build big.
Yeah,
absolutely.
This is the thing that we talk about all the time. You don't want to develop too early, develop late. You know, it's better to be not as good early for the development later on. That's something we talk about all the time.
All the time, because you have this thing called burnout. And the one thing that parents have to understand, your kids are not you. Whatever you did when you played or grew up, your kids, they don't live in the same time frame.
Yep.
Right.
They don't have the same mentality that we did in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s.
Yep.
Different type of kid.
Yep.
So you have to coach what's in front of you, their mentality right now. And you have to build it from where they are, not from where you were.
Right.
The coaches that coach from when they played ball, you lose a lot of kids now because they don't understand that.
Right.
They only understand what you can give them now. So to me, the best coaches are ones that can. We are the keys that unlock the potential, but you have to pay attention to the lock.
Right.
Every lock is different, so you have to mold the key that's going to unlock every lock that's in front of you.
Right.
So number one, you got to be tapped in to what's in front of you.
Right.
Understand how they learn, the trigger points, and then coach them to that.
Right.
Right.
So every kid in my house was different. I can't coach y'all the same.
Right.
So I got to learn you, and then develop a program that's going to help you for what you want, you for what you want, and the next and the next and the next. Absolutely. And it's the same thing with, you know, team ball. If everything is a one size fit all, you're not going to help every kid.
Right. Right.
You're going to lose a lot of kids. Their development is going to be stagnant because you're not developing them to the strengths and weaknesses of where they are and where they need to be. So it has to be a lot of individualized amongst the group. When you go to group settings, that's not training. That's fundamentals. That is group work.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But the actual training part is me watching you, watching your weaknesses, and saying, hey, let's back that up. I can't do that if it's 20 people.
Right.
I can't watch 20 people and say, okay, every last one of y'all, you did something wrong. Your toe was down, blah, 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 blah. So we're going to have the group work because that's teaching everybody how to work together. But now let's individualize it, right, so I can see you.
Right.
That way I know what your hips are doing, what your toes aren't doing. And then we can work to that.
Can you take what I taught you
And
apply it?
Apply it.
Yes.
Because, again, application is everything.
Yeah. You got to activate it.
I always tell my kids, if you can't teach it back to me, you don't know it.
I see a lot of DB drills, but then I turn around and see a lot of one-on-ones.
Right.
And it don't look the same.
It don't look
That's
the same.
all I'm saying.
Right.
It don't be.
That's all I'm saying.
And again, here's why. And not saying, good or bad about anybody, but if your kid doesn't have the IQ to be able to tell you what they're feeling, and this is why I always tell parents, people think I'm crazy.
No, you're not.
When I say for me training kids, it's a lot of communication because I want you to be able to tell me what I'm teaching you so I can slow it down to make sure you understand it. Because if you can't give it back to me, guess what? You don't take ownership of it.
Right.
If I'm just telling you do this, do this, do this, you're a robot.
And then it's also like I do too. Tell me why you saw that.
Tell me
or
why.
Tell me why you did that.
Right.
Because now
you got to.
I'm teaching you
gotta
as well
adjust.
because now I need you to learn how to make the adjustment.
But that's the
Be on
ownership
the fly.
part.
There you go.
Yeah,
Right.
that is
Yep.
the ownership
Right.
part. If you don't know what your body is telling you, number one, you don't own you.
Right.
Right.
I own you.
Exactly.
Right.
As the person outside. So
Right.
I
I like
always
that.
want to
I'ma
make
steal
that
that. That's
mind-body
good, boy.
connection.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, people are always like, oh, man, that's crazy stuff. But okay, cool.
Yeah.
But that's why my kids move different.
Right.
Right. It's just fact.
It is what it is.
Well, listen, we're going to pause for a second. Thank our sponsor, Epic Sports Apparel. Listen, every player compete. That's the mentality we have. And shout out to a couple of people that are listening. Kim Francis, Bryson Kalua. Shout out to my guy, Greg Hammer, one of the best in the business.
The best.
Listen, shout out to J Mac tapping in with us and Kevin Burrell for that great question.
Absolutely.
And listen, man, the On Your Mark show is here to elevate and educate you, man. Click on that link in the chat, man. That's to donate to keep us going, man. Shed a little light. Listen, we got some of the best in the game that come in and share these type of ideas and things with you. We want to educate and elevate you and activate your process. This is for parents and players in the recruiting processes, which we're going to switch gears. So the big thing I want to ask you first, the recruiting process from the time that you came out of high school now to what you're helping your players now.
Yep.
Tell me and share with parents how it's different now, because it's a different game in recruiting. Nothing is written in stone. And, you have to take it for what it is right now.
Well, it's night and day. All right, so if Marshall Pugh was up here, he would be like, if they're good, they're going to find you, son.
That's old school.
And at the time, it was true. You know what I mean? But the way, man, has changed from when I was high school to now. It's almost you have to create the opportunity for yourself because people got to understand that opportunities are few and far between now. I don't think that, to your point with the education piece, the parents have educated themselves enough on what this transfer portal is doing to the high school athlete. They've got to understand that the guys that are getting the offers are the elite ones throughout the country. I think too that parents don't understand that it's not just your child and how good he is in his district, in his area, in the city, in this region, or in the state. You got to understand that people are recruiting nationally. Then on top of that, you got the transfer portal where guys who have been in school 1, 2, 3 years, they're mature, they understand the academic calendar, they understand the weight room, they understand the transition from being at home, are now filling up roster spots. So as a high school athlete, I have to be better than the third-year guy who's transferring. I got to be better than the JUCO guy. I got to be better than the prep school guy, and I got to be better than my own peers in my own region, not even including the nation.
Right.
Parents ain't understanding that. So what's the point? I think in recruiting, you have to be able to create exposure for yourself, or, and another way of putting that, you got to be able to create opportunity for yourself. And I think the key word is opportunity. The problem that I've seen in my experience is parents want to come and they want an instant gratification, an instant offer, instant this. It don't work like that. And
Regardless of whether you see it or not, it don't work like that.
It don't work like that, man.
Right.
And I think, you have a lot of kids that, I think that social media is a great thing. I think it's also hindered and made a lot of people ignorant to how
You
things
have to
really
know how
operate.
to use it, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, man, I think that the way that everything moves now, and you've heard this 1,000 times before, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I think being able to use your contacts, people to use the people that you know that have the different relationships, that's going to be key. Not only that, man, just being able to operate in a position where you can create the opportunity for yourself to get in front of the right people. Look, the high school is good, but I think people got to understand that the high school season is not going to give you what it used to give you. I think that the 10 to 12 games to possibly 16, if you go to state, that's nice. That's really cool. But if you ain't on that recruiting calendar by January of the following year, look here, man. You need to think about NAI. You need to think about JUCO. You need to prep something. And that's just the reality of the situation. And I think people don't understand that. That's where the game has changed. Right. And if I'm a college coach, I would do the same thing. Right. Hey, man, I'll take about 5 of these kids out of high school. You better be that guy, though. Right. When I turn that film on, you better be that guy. Right. And I think they gotta understand that. The one of the rules that I heard from a few of the guys that I've talked to at the college level is the 60-20-20. That's what I've heard. Some say 70-30, depends on the school. Right. 60% college transfer, 20% grad transfer, 20% high school. What does that mean? That translates to anywhere from 5 to 10 kids that are getting offered high school scholarships out of high school. Right. Parents, I think you need to understand how that works. There used to be 25 scholarships that go to high school kids, maybe 2 to JUCO. It don't work like that anymore.
Might not be more than 10 now.
And 10's pushing it. That's
what
I'm saying. Anywhere, I gave you a range, 5 to 10. I need you to hear that.
And that's Power 5. So let's make sure we understand that.
Right. But see, we need to talk about that because that's what everybody wants is Power 5. Right. Okay. Well, the reality is that's not everybody. Right. But I just think the way that the game has changed, I think that you're really looking at a lack of education. But then also at the same time, now this is my experience because I live in this world on a daily. I think you're looking at a lack of acceptance too, because either my son is better than this. I hear it all the time. I've talked to parents where they've had scholarships on the table from lower level schools. Well, my son is better than that. Look, this is what you have. You've had 3 years of body of work. I don't know what else to tell you. Right. And they have to be able to accept how things have changed, but also they got to be able to accept where they are, not settle for where they are. Right. Because now that's where the transfer portal could be to your advantage. Absolutely. So being able to switch the narrative, have a complete understanding of how this thing works, man. I just think that's where the game is now, and that's how it's changed over these years.
Well, I'm going to give you guys something, and I know y'all going to agree with this. So, for parents and players not looking at those smaller schools, and, I've had these conversations in the last few weeks, and so have we. The smaller schools, when we're talking D2, D3, and even some FCS schools, that's your redshirt year right there. That's how you level up. You know what I mean? You go there and be, we've talked about this. Go there and be All-American, go there and be All-Conference, set records at that school, and there's a strong possibility you can level up. Yep. Now, everything is position specific, and you have to kind of look the part, and you have to ball. But now, that's your ace in the hole now.
I'll say it like this. Number one, if you feel like number one, the market is going to tell you what your worth is, whether you believe it or not. The market is going to say, if you're putting your film out there, coach is advocating for you, blah, 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 the market is going to tell you what your value is. Yes. You could take it or leave it. It is. There is nothing else you could do. If you got 3 years of varsity film and you're pushing it, the market is going to say, this is where we think you need to be. Right. If you disagree, then guess what? Here's the best thing you can do. Go to that school, which is the best of what you have. Right. And then blow the doors off.
Right. Say it all the time.
That proves that you're that guy.
Then guess what? They're going to come back and say, oops, we made a mistake. Right. Now you say, hey, pay me, because we live in an era where you can capitalize off of that. But here's my thing, parents. If you think your child thinks that school is beneath you, why not use that to your advantage and say, guess what? Now I can go and be a true freshman, where that's probably not going to happen if I go to the school that I think I need to be at. Right. I can go to a lower level school that's beneath me, so to speak, and walk in and start. Right. So guess what? Now you're streamlined, right? That red shirt year might not happen if things work out the way you do. But I always caution parents, if you go to that school that you say is beneath you and don't touch the field, guess where you at? Where you need to be.
Well, you got to look at it like this. When you're in high school, you're outside of the building. So right now we're in a building. This building has however many floors to it. Let's say 10 floors. And a lot of the times the parents are like, well, I'm better than that. I should be inside the
But
building.
that's only because they're looking at it from a lens where you're looking in your local. You're not looking national.
And I tell them all the time, I said, well, the first step is why not get on the first floor? The first floor could be the NAIA. It could be the FCS. It could be the D3. It could be whatever. And why not take over that first floor? Next thing you know, you can hop on the elevator and you can ride your way up. But a lot of the times, man, we want to stay outside of the building because we think we belong higher up rather than take the first step. And essentially, that's what you're saying, man.
But let's really make it simple. Make it simple, right? High school football, a lot of kids get the opportunity to play.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think they get it twisted in thinking that everyone is afforded the opportunity to play post high school.
Right.
You're not.
That's good. That's good.
So understand that,
real
parents.
good.
And if you don't believe me, look at your senior class at your high school right now. How many signed? You might have 30, 24, 25 on your senior class. Only 10 of them get out.
Right.
So that means everybody's not afforded the opportunity. Again, all you want is the opportunity to play post high school.
Right.
Yep.
Wherever that is.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So if you keep that in perspective, right?
Right.
I just want the opportunity to play beyond high school.
Right.
But understand that not everybody has that.
Exactly.
Regardless of whether you think you deserve it or not.
Right.
So whatever comes, take that and then make the best of it.
Well, at all levels, and this includes Power 5 all the way down, it's less than 10% that go to college and play at the Lexus. It's probably more like close to 7%.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You have to do your homework on these type of things. You know,
absolutely.
if you're not educated on it, that's what we do every week here on Your Mark Show. We try to educate and elevate you.
But then let's back up.
Go ahead.
Let's back up. Let's back up. What does my film look like? So again, I'm on the field.
Right.
I'm playing football. And you might say, oh, my baby all conference. Okay, but what does the film look like?
Right.
Does it stand out? Does it say you're a practice player in college? Or does it say you're a guy that can actually come and contribute? Because remember, for every kid that start, they have to have somebody to practice against.
Right.
Remember that.
Well, also, back before we leave film, make sure it's the right kind of film. Your first
Again,
five
what
plays
does it
need
look
to
like?
jump off the screen.
That was my point. What does
Because
it look
college
like?
coaches will not watch it past a
They
minute,
not.
and be careful when putting too much music on there. It really needs to be silent because when I'm watching film, I'm not looking at things for the right song. You know, if your first 5 plays aren't staggering or make me jump out of the seat, what do you think a college recruiting office is going to look at? These
Not
guys have
coming.
to jump
I
on
love
the
you
table
brought-
for
I
that.
love
Go
that
ahead.
You brought that up. I love
Go
it.
ahead.
All right, so if you go to the PPT Elite YouTube channel, you'll see an interview I did with David Geddes. David Geddes is one of the receiver
Yes.
coaches at Syracuse. This is what he told me about the film. All right, I asked him about that specific question. He said, first off, if your first 3 plays don't stand out, we turn it off immediately.
That's it.
He said, me as a receiver coach, I'm looking at about 1,000 tapes a month. A month. That's what he said. A month. Okay. Now, there's another thing. He goes, we also evaluate your huddle tape because we want to know your football IQ.
Right.
And I said, I said, what do you mean by that, Geddes? He's like, well, based off the plays that you put on your huddle, he goes, that's going to tell me your football IQ because that's telling me that you really don't know how to break film down and you really don't have an understanding of the game. Because if you want to stand out to me, you're going to show me your highlight plays. You're going to show me your route running. You're going to show me this, that, and the other. He starts going down this list based on how you put your huddle together.
Right.
He goes, so now if you even make it past the first cut, then that's the second step that we go to.
Right.
And so to your point, man, where you're talking about like the film, you got to understand what they look for immediately, but then how do I break the tape down? He
Right.
goes, the worst thing he sees when he turns on the film is a receiver blocking on huddle. He goes, I could care less about you blocking. Are you separating 2 to 3 yards past your guy on your route? He said, are you getting in and out of your break at the top of the route? He goes, are you being a playmaker? He goes, by you putting blocking on the tape, that tells me you have no type of what's the word I'm looking for?
Big plays.
Big plays, but also you don't have any type of let's just say football education, for lack of a better term, when it comes to putting something together. He's telling me that you're showing me your aptitude.
It means you don't know how to eval tape.
Yes, because he's like, you're telling me who you are by how you structure your tape.
And that's not always the kid's fault because they should have guidance on what that should look like.
Exactly.
So, and that's coming from, the coaching staff or, again, them just wanting. And, again, there is no excuse because the information is out there.
Yep.
Right. There's no excuse.
Right.
This day and age, the information is there of what to do, what not to do. All you have to do is look and then ask.
Absolutely.
You know, if you don't know, if I can't find the right information, ask.
Yes.
Quick
Exactly.
question.
Somebody gonna tell you.
Quick question from Kevin Burrell, Coach JP. He wants to know where the link is to that interview that you just talked about.
Well, one, you can go to my website, pptelite.com. It's up there on the media section. Two, if you just go to the PPT Elite YouTube page, you just search PPT Elite, and you can search Coach's Corner. It'll all pop up through there, man. We have guys from IMG Academy to Syracuse, Coach Bradford at Oklahoma State, down to Sagu, Stephen F. Austin, all over the place, man, to give you varying levels from NAIA all the way to the top level D1 of what coaches look for. So it's all there for you.
Now, 7-on-7, that's a big proponent. That's something that you're heavily involved in.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's changed the game. Well, we know it's changed the game to the way it is today. You know, if it's done the right way, it's really instrumental in development for those skilled guys.
Right.
So talk about the change in 7-on-7. You know, back when we were playing, it was just, they got us together with the high schools. You know what I mean?
Us together.
Yeah.
In the summer for about 4 weeks.
Yeah,
about
4 weeks. Go to pick one high school we go to
Yep.
and we ball. You know, the coaches just kind of in the fly. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Now it's kind of more of a thing where it's really structured into getting into these big tournaments and things like that. Just speak on that a little bit.
Man, well, first of all, with the 7-on-7, man, like you said, where it started to where it is now is night and day, man.
Right.
It's crazy. But also, one of the things that I like about the 7-on-7 component is you're getting to see guys from across the country.
Right.
So let's put it from a skill player standpoint, since that's what it is. You're getting to see how you stack up truly.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of guys where I know I'm better than this guy. I know that I should be ranked higher than that guy. Man, why am I not on his list? Well, he's standing right in front of you. So you have your opportunity to show it. That's the part I love.
Right.
I love the competitive atmosphere, man. I love the high pace, how fast it is. I love how guys get to showcase the skill set. That's the beautiful part of it, too. But I also like how you're playing guys from other regions. You're playing guys from other states, man, and other parts of the country.
Right.
Now, you're really getting to see a full-scale look of what you really are.
Right.
You have the opportunity to develop yourself. You have an opportunity to compete while you're developing yourself, but then you also have another opportunity to see where you stand. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest thing that 7-on-7 serves is it allows you to see where you stand amongst those guys who are ranked by the on-threes of the world, the rivals. You know the whole story with that. That's what I love about it, man. And then it breeds confidence, too. Because you go into your season knowing that you win against those guys, like, wait a minute, man. All right, I am that guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or it exposes you. One of the two.
Right.
Either way it works.
Right. You kind of, led to where I'm going with it, but the right kind of exposure as well.
Yes.
But also it gives you a chance to work on some intricate things that you may not get a chance to work at in a high school setting with, 50 guys, 60 kids at the bigger schools. And you also, like you said, you get a chance to be in a competitive environment right away, so the getting exposed part of, if you're really that guy, everybody's going to see it. There's no helmet to cover you up. You're not on one side of the field. It's fast-paced. You don't have a lot of time to make a difference like that. But with you having one of those organizations that's been, thorough and on the forefront of this thing here in the last few years in the state of Texas, talk about some of the things that you do off the field. I think that's a proponent that, maybe 7-on-7 gets this bad rap that, these – they've been called street agents, which is not the case. There's
Definitely
nothing involved
not.
in that.
Right.
And, with you being involved with the
Definitely not.
community and, very close, and I've seen you interact with your players, coaches, and families, that PPT brings that environment. Speak on that just a little bit.
Well, I'm glad you said family. So one of the things that makes us different is how we hold the families accountable. So I tell every parent that comes through the program, listen, you will be held accountable, especially if your son can't drive, you're late, this and that, me and you going to have a meeting.
Right.
Because the parents need to know that you're involved in this too.
Absolutely.
And a lot of the time, man, the kids are the reflection of the parent.
Absolutely.
So if I can get to the parent first, I know I can get to the kid. That's the first thing. One of the things that we want to do that we always strived ourselves on is always giving them a sneak peek of what the future looks like. I like to say the sneak peek into eternity. That's what I like to say. That's just my little phrase. That's what I do. I do that just from a biblical reference, right? And whether that's bringing in coaches, whether it's taking them on visits, whether them, putting them on college campuses, having guys, former players that I know that I'll be the coach or play with come in and talk to them. I want them to see what the future looks like because I want you to know that you can grasp it, but I need you to also understand the type of work it's going to take to put in. We just don't want to be one of those teams that just come out there, we play, we show up, hey, man, here's your uniform over there. We don't do any practice. We don't roll like that. We practice the skill set. We work on the development, but most importantly, we work on the mental aspect of it. We always challenge you. We always ask you the questions. We always ask you what you saw. We make you understand the formations. We make you read defenses. We make you understand concept routes. on defense. It's not just show up and play. It's, man, look, if we win, cool. If we lose, cool. But when I show up on Friday and I'm at your high school game, did what we teach you translate to what it is on Friday night?
And we can verify that,
That
parents.
is what we are here for.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, don't get it twisted. We want to have fun. We want to do all the backflips and all that. Don't get it. Like, that's part of the game. And to an element, you have to have a little bit of that element in there.
Right.
But also at the same time, man, if you're not striving to go next level, if you're not striving to see yourself at the top, see yourself in the NFL, see yourself playing for a long period of time, then you're just not a good fit for us.
Right.
We're not interested in collecting 4 and 5 stars. We're not interested in having guys just show up and play. That stuff drives me nuts. We want you to be a part of the program because we want to know that we had a hand in helping you build out just what you wanted to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's important, parents, to understand, again, your kid and then where your kid fits, whether it's high school, 707, what's going to fit and help your kid grow. And asking questions and understanding the coach's mentality from whether it's high school or whatever it is. Those are great things to know. Is this a fit for my kid, and does my kid fit, and can he benefit from that? And that's stuff that we know personally because we see him on the field all the time. So we know what he does.
Absolutely. And that's the reason, we had you, this was a long time coming. And,
Yep.
we've been talking this every time I bump into you.
Every time I see you, man,
no doubt.
we
Hey, we got to get you on, man. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? But before we get out of here, talk about what you're doing in the spring. I think that's a
Yep.
different element. PPT Elite, you've started, you take kids around the country and travel to play these exhibition games, which I think is big. Before we get out of here, talk about that a little bit and the reasoning for doing it.
All right, so a couple things. I've been having a tug of war with myself, okay? I've been having a tug of war with myself because I've just, like I told you earlier when you asked me about the program, I've been seeing a lot of kids come to the program, man, that just, I know that they have the ability. But, man, in the past few years, I've watched a lot of kids lose hope. And I'm telling you, man, that pulls at me in a different direction. You're watching guys get signed. You're watching them ask you for help. You're watching them say, like, man, do you really think I can do this? And there has to be something that bridges the gap for the players who aren't regarded as the elite, right? They may be a late developer, a late bloomer. They may be a guy who just didn't get the teaching on time. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to create a spring tackle football program for high school athletes, right? That could be anywhere. We've even had 8th graders play. That don't matter. Age means absolutely nothing. And parents, I need you to understand that. If you are naturally gifted, if you have the ability to play, age is not a factor in this, okay? So we wanted to create a varsity spring tackle football team where we showcase the guys in real football elements. At the end of the day, what college coaches want to see is film. That's what they want to see. They want to see you strapped up with a helmet, shoulder pads on, and they want to see you going against other elite talent to evaluate that. So what we did was we put that together. We played 2 games in the spring. We play against other 4 and 5 stars across the country, and that's one of the fastest ways and best ways to get evaluated is when you're going against competition that is already highly regarded or highly recruited. That helps elevate your stock, especially if you perform well. We do that always late spring around April and May. We went out to Seattle our first year and played a team called FSP with my guy Tracy Ford out there. You got Air Football Academy that came down to play us the first year. This year we got a team from Portland, Oregon called Bridge City coming down to play us. And then we go up to Seattle this year on May 4th to go play Air again. So it's going to be fun, man. But the thing I love about it is twofold. One, it creates the Division I element, the Division I level of preparation. Okay, so we bring our guys in, we meet with them, we give them game plan breakdowns. It gives them the Division I level of experience when you're going against high-level guys. You're going against guys who are going to be playing on Saturday, so you get to see how you stack up, but also you get that experience of what it's like when everybody on that field is that top dog.
Right.
Then the other thing I like about it, too, and I love about it, is when we travel out, man, we get on that plane, we go stay in the hotel, and you get to simulate what it's like
to be on the road.
When you're on the road,
right.
You're traveling. You're going to a hostile environment. There's fans talking crazy about you. That's the fun part about it. And, man, it's just interesting. If I was a high school coach and I had the opportunity through the UIL, through TAPS, through SBC to play games, I would play games in the spring during a 6-week window of time where coaches are allowed to be on the road recruiting. The way college football recruiting is changing, listen to me, is the early signing window is messing up the high school recruiting period. It's speeding everything up by a year, basically 2 years now at this point.
Yep.
Why would you not play games in the spring when they have their undivided attention on the future class? Doesn't make sense to me. Now I understand that they have their recruiting departments. You know, they got their guys. You know, that they scout for advanced. That's cool. But at the end of the day, man, get your talent seen and get it in a game atmosphere. When they come out to spring ball, they come out to the school and you guys are just practicing.
Right.
That's cool. Okay, well, all right. He has the eye test. Okay, he passed that. All right, that's cool. I'm really not getting to see him move and really do anything like I want to. But let me check back in, and hopefully, if nothing shakes out in the transfer portal and all that, we may swing back around.
Right.
And man, we wanted to bridge that gap. We want to be able to offer that opportunity when they're on the road. They have their undivided attention. They're looking for the next crop of guys. You're looking for that one hidden gem. You're looking for the guy that nobody else is looking at. Man, we want to be able to afford that opportunity to watch you, to have them watch you in live game action.
Right.
And I think that's where the space is moving. I've been saying this for about 2 or 3 years now, is that parents and players are going to start moving away from the high schools.
Right.
And I think the faster that these parents accept that and realize that, they're going to be able to create more opportunity for themselves.
Right.
And then, now, you go down a whole nother pathway with the NIL, branding, all that type deal. But at the end of the day, man, you want to create opportunity to get into the school first.
Absolutely.
So that's what we're doing. What we do, we're here to bridge the gap. And, man, it's been going well. We're in phase 2 now, steady building. I can't wait to see what it looks like 3-4 years from now.
Give me the dates on when that's happening. I know we've talked about it for us to come and do some work over there as well.
Yep. April 27th is the first game we play in Plano over there at Clark Stadium.
Right.
April 27th, 2 o'clock, we play Bridge City. And then May 4th, we head up to Seattle. We play air football out there. We'll be taking a visit at University of Washington out there, doing all that, giving the kids the best experience. But, yeah, man, we're going to line it up, strap it up, and get it on, man.
Well, listen, that's what it's all about, man, and that's the reason I wanted to have
Can I
you
say
come
one
on.
more
Yeah,
thing?
go right ahead, real quick.
And I want to get your opinion on this.
Go ahead.
It might be a little controversial. I just want to say one thing.
Go ahead.
I'm all for the transfer portal.
Okay.
I think it's a really good thing.
I do too.
But for the kids that transfer 2 or 3 times, I don't know how much that's helping them. Here's why I say that. And I say this to parents. When I went to Texas A&M, I played football at A&M for 4 years. I built certain relationships, but I built a rapport.
Right.
Okay? When I got done playing, we talked about that transition.
Mm-hmm.
By having myself attached to a university, I was able to do the cover 2 with Pugh portion of Texas Radio. I was able to have the Aki Game Day experience. I was able to do the post-game radio. I was able to be introduced to the SEC network because I had a connection to a university. One of the things that I worry about, and I hear from a lot of my guys who are in college now who are transferring, is, man, I really hope you don't burn that bridge with the connection. Mm-hmm. Now, I think the transfer portal is a good thing because there are some guys who just need the opportunity to be seen, and you could just elevate and you could do whatever. Now, I'm not saying that, but man, especially the way that things are going now, I don't know if they approved the unlimited transfer yet. Do you know if they approved that yet?
No,
not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
That's the only thing that worries me.
Right.
Is because when you have big time guys, big time donors, and you just bouncing out on their school.
It depends on what you're leaving for it as well.
That's why I said it's a double-edged sword for me.
So
it's a double-edged sword.
Real
but
quick, Coach, you got about 60 seconds to sum it up.
So real fast, it depends, like you said, on what they're leaving for. Some kids are pushed out.
Yes.
Now,
yes, I agree with that.
Here's my take. I think the kid has to learn how to manage relationships, number one, because guess what?
That's good.
Coaches leave all the time.
That's good.
They leave schools all the time, and guess what they have? Relationships. So
Yes.
if the kid can manage the relationships of where they left and they don't burn the bridge leaving, they'll be fine. That's the key.
Okay.
Manage the relationship on your exit and depending on how you exit. But if you're exiting in a bad light and you're constantly burning bridges, then that's going to follow you. And, yeah, you're going to hurt
The reason
yourself.
why I bring that up is because that's been pulling on me, too.
No.
How do I
it's a
educate my
tricky
players?
One. It is a very tricky
and how do I give them the right advice when it comes to
the
that?
right thing is
You see what
don't
I'm
burn the
saying?
bridge.
Right.
The right thing is don't burn the bridge.
Right.
If you go there and you're forced out, that's not on you.
Right,
But
exactly.
if you
I
go
agree
there
with
and you do something intentionally to get in trouble, then clean that up on the next go round.
Okay. Yep.
Well, it also depends on, like you said, don't burn the relationship and what you're leaving for and how you're leaving.
Right.
Leaving in an appropriate manner.
That's
If
good.
you're
That's
you're
good.
leaving to
That's
level
good.
up,
Yes.
that's different.
Makes sense.
But
Yep.
don't chase the wrong things. It's just like, when you talk about dating, don't just chase any skirt. Make sure you got the right skirt.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I'm not trying to be offensive. It just applies to both situations.
Absolutely.
You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? But we're out of
Gotta be the
time. I
right
told
reason.
you this was going to go super fast.
Gonna make my wife happy, man.
Man, absolutely. but before we get out of here, give out the website and everywhere they can reach out if, parents and players have questions.
Man, look, you can find us at pptelite.com, pptelite.com. Same thing with all the socials. Has all the information up there, testimonials. You learn everything about us, and hopefully you'll be a part of the Elite family soon.
Listen, man, we appreciate everybody for tapping in. Of course, Wednesday we do this every week. We're going to educate and elevate. Listen, again, thank you to our sponsor, Epic Sports Apparel. And listen, click the link in there, man. Donate to the On Your Mark Show, the best new show on the Fishbowl Radio Network in 2023. Now we coming for the championship this year. We coming for the ring.
We coming for you, Shay Shay.
Well, we coming, man. But listen, man, appreciate everybody for tapping in, for watching, man. We'll be back next week. Follow the On Your Mark Show YouTube channel as well. Listen, we got a lot of great things going on this spring, and we'll be getting you plugged in with that, man. Shout out to my guy, Man and Mike. Take us out, man. Dope song, man. Follow him on Instagram, and we out.
Hey, this Manna Mike. I'm not sure what you own, but this here is on the mark. Like a spiral from a 5-star recruit, we throwing darts, really focused. WD-40 couldn't stop the way we grinded. In the trenches, putting that work in, I relate to all my linemen. This is for the men, the boys do not belong here. Tiptoeing to the top, we doing cone drills. The hottest show in the world, you don't even gotta search. Steady putting in work, you see the sweat up on my shirt. They wasn't aware of us at first, we wasn't on their radar. Now every play that we make, they gon' say, similar to a razor blade, we gon' stay sharp. The news ain't official if it's not on the mark.